Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're really excited to get to know you guys and read all of your applications. Just a couple quick announcements. Is the first one that we're recording this info session. So if you have anything you're confused about, you can go back and listen to it. Or for anyone who missed out, you can listen to the info session whenever it works for you. For those of you guys who are here now, please mute yourself during the presentation so that we don't have as much background noise or interference. And then at the end, we'll have time for any questions you guys have, so feel free to write them down or enter them into the chat feature of the GoToMeetings, and we can talk about them at the end. And I think that's it. So I'll hand it over to Maggie, who's going to give us a bit of an introduction to EERI as an organization and what they do.
Thanks, Shannon. So my name is Maggie Ortiz-Milan. I'm a program manager here at EERI, and I'm the SLC staff liaison. So over the past few years, I've worked with the different groups of SLC members and worked with Shannon and Christina a lot this past year. So about EERI, for some of you who might not be quite as familiar with EERI so far, it's the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute. We're an international organization. We're a nonprofit technical membership society with around 3,000 members. We have 14 regional chapters, 85 student chapters and growing, and 8 staff in our office here in Oakland, California. And we're dedicated to reducing earthquake risk. So EERI's mission statement is really to reduce earthquake risk, and there are 3 main areas we focus on to try to do that. And one is advancing the science and practice of earthquake engineering, improving understanding of the impacts of earthquakes. So that's done a lot through our Learning from Earthquakes program and earthquake reconnaissance. And 3, advocating for comprehensive and realistic measures for reducing the harmful effects of earthquakes. So to do that, we have a variety of different committees and programs that work on different projects to try to achieve those, achieve our mission. And EERI has a really diverse membership. So EERI members are engineers, structural engineers, geotechnical engineers, geoscientists, architects, social scientists. So it's a really multidisciplinary organization to bring a lot of people together to try to solve the complex problems that come from earthquakes that affect our environments. So in addition to these different disciplinary backgrounds, people work in a variety of ways: academics, researchers, scientists, practicing engineers, educators, government officials, building code officials. So there's a really, one of the benefits of being an EERI member is coming into contact with so many people who have different backgrounds and different expertise. And so EERI is managed by a board of directors. So this is our current board of directors, and Lori Johnson is the current president. She has a background in urban planning. And you can see the rest of our directors here and try to match up with the diversity of EERI, have that all represented on the board. And Erica Fisher, who you see there in the bottom row, she is the board liaison for the SLC. So she's a former SLC president, and so she knows a lot about the program and kind of stays involved, and communication from the board will come through her. So like I mentioned, EERI has a lot of regional chapters. So there are 14 regional chapters spread throughout the US and actually 1 in Canada. So a lot of the regional chapters host evening events, networking opportunities, and I know that a lot of the regional chapters are actually looking to have better connections with their student chapters. So if you, at your student chapter, you're interested in networking more with local professionals, I really urge you to reach out to your closest regional chapter and see if you can't coordinate some joint events so that student chapters have an opportunity to interact with those regional chapter members. So some of the EERI membership benefits for students, there's the Friedman Family Visiting Professionals Program that hopefully you're all aware of, that every year there's an opportunity to host an expert EERI member at your school, to have a presentation by them, to do some lab tours, some social events with them, to really kind of give their perspective from their years of working. So all student chapters are able to apply to host a visiting professional every year. There are the EERI competitions, so I'm sure you all know about the undergraduate seismic competition, design competition that Christina and Shannon are going to talk more about. There's also an undergraduate and graduate student paper competition, and there's a graduate fellowship available, and 2 of those are awarded every year. So if you're a student, consider applying for some of those competitions. We also do registration grants to EERI meetings. So if you're not participating in the seismic design competition, or you're a grad student and you just want to attend the EERI meeting, there are registration grants that we award every year. And also you get online access to Earthquake Spectra, our technical peer-reviewed journal. So once you graduate, we offer a special deal for people who are student members. So after you graduate, the first year of your young professional membership is free, and then there are reduced rates for the next 4 years. So after you graduate, it's easy for you to kind of transition into regular EERI membership and get more involved in different aspects of EERI. Okay. Sorry, I tried to add in one slide at the end, but I think it hasn't refreshed. And I just wanted to mention, since somebody already asked about the Younger Members Committee, another way to plug into EERI after you've graduated is to join the Younger Members Committee, and it's open to all EERI members. You just have to submit your application and they'll invite you to join all of the committee meetings. They meet once a month, and they have really a big suite of activities they're doing, and their goal is to help people who are student members transition into their regular EERI membership and help them plug into the different programs and activities of EERI. So if you're graduating or kind of looking forward to when you will be graduating, I really suggest getting involved with the YMC and kind of learning about everything else that EERI is doing. All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, Maggie. Hi everyone, I'm Christina Yordakian, and I'm going to be trying to give you a general idea of what SLC means. We are student organization, a committee of EERI that serves as an active earthquake engineering community for sharing knowledge, exchanging experience, and promoting education. Being part of the SLC would genuinely help you develop leadership and interpersonal skills. And I can tell you from my own experience that even though I've organized a lot of things before the SLC, this was the one organization that kind of pushed all of my limits and made me grow so much and learn so much about leadership and about, and it helped me create a network that I didn't really believe I could have. But it also helps us gain practical experience in earthquake engineering. By our work, we are trying to represent and impact all EERI student chapters through the activities that we will talk about slightly later. So what do we do? We organize and host the undergraduate seismic design competition at the EERI annual meeting. Additionally, we organize and host the post-earthquake reconnaissance workshop and some extra activities with YMC, such as the walking tour, and with SESI, such as the workshop that was had its first edition this year. To better organize for the next academic year, we participate in the annual SLC Retreat in the San Francisco area. And all of these opportunities help us network with EERI staff, professionals, and grad students from across the globe. And since I've mentioned something about the SLC Retreat, we wanted to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing there. First of all, we meet all the new SLC members, our future collaborators, and EERI staff. During the retreat, the new SLC board is elected and the positions are appointed for the new officers. The elections and appointments are based on the candidates' past experience, motivation, and of course, preferences. After this is done, we just start planning for next year really excitedly, and we have a lot of fun in the process, I can promise you that. So I would like to give Shannon the floor for talking about SDC.
Yeah, so that's SLC, who we are as a group, and one of the biggest things that we do every year is organize the seismic design competition. I recognize a few of your guys' names on the list as people who have been participants in the seismic design competition, so that's great. But we're going to give a brief overview for anyone who isn't familiar with the competition so far. Basically, the seismic design competition is for undergraduates, and it's targeted to get students who are interested in earthquake engineering to give them some practical experience in design, testing, construction, implementation, presentation skills. It's a well-rounded competition that provides students with a platform to theoretically and experimentally study earthquake resilient structures. And it also takes place during the EERI annual meeting, which is a really great event that provides students with the chance to meet and interact with EERI staff and industry professionals. And there are networking opportunities between the teams themselves and with professional members that attend the annual meeting. We also have a few fun extra activities that we try to plan in or fit into the schedule every year at the seismic design competition, which include PERW, SESI workshop, and some walking tours. So the big aspect of this competition is that students are required to design and build a 60-inch model balsa wood structure. And the structure is loaded with artificial weights and then put on a shake table. And that shake table will simulate 2 different ground motions. And depending on how the structure performs under those 2 ground motions, the team's buildings are then ranked based on different metrics such as weight, acceleration during shaking, and rentable floor area that they provide. And the SDC Chairs, which is one of the positions that we're going to talk about later, create a design challenge each year, and they update the rules so that every year there's something new going on in the competition. And those rules are published at the beginning of the academic year. In terms of deliverables during the competition, there is a design proposal that every student team is required to submit before the competition, and then the SLC will read and review those design proposals and invite certain teams to the competition. At the competition itself, the teams have to give a technical presentation. They have to present a poster that shows an architectural rendering of their building, and they have to provide analysis and predictions for their structure. There is definitely a fun side to the seismic design competition. I think everyone who's been there has really enjoyed it, at least I hope. And we have a live stream feed of Shake Day, which is the day at competition where we shake all of the structures. And there's a lot of dancing and hidden talents that come into play during Shake Day. We also have a t-shirt competition and a Facebook spotlight that happened before the competition. And yeah, we just get to see all of the hard work everyone's put into the competition throughout the past year. Probably the most fun part of the seismic design competition for the students is the CSI Wrap-up Party. CSI is one of the companies that sponsors our organization, the Student Leadership Council, and they throw this party for the students every year during the competition, and it involves even more dancing, some teams bonding, a lot of karaoke every year with prizes, and a speech from Ashraf, the CEO of CSI. So we just wrapped up the 2019 seismic design competition in March, and we had 38 teams competing from 8 countries and 15 United States and Puerto Rico. There were 19,000 live stream views, 16,500 Facebook post interactions, during the seismic design competition. Over 350 students participated, so this is a really big competition and it is a lot of work to organize, and that's what we do throughout the year. And we had 17 SLC members representing 11 universities and a decent amount of countries, actually, and the support of 8 financial sponsors. I hope that gave you a bit of an introduction to the seismic design competition if you didn't know about it already. Another thing is that from March 4th to the 6th will be the next seismic design competition in 2020, and that will take place in San Diego, California. And now Christina and I are gonna tag team and switch off talking about the SLC roles and responsibilities. Why don't you start, Christina?
Sure.
Cool.
So one of the positions that SLC has is the one of co-presidents. This one is reserved for returning members. So if you're returning and you have taken part in a competition, as you've taken part as an officer in a competition, then this may apply to you. And this position is basically for just 2 members that really become lifelong friends in the process, because they will have a lot of conference calls and a lot of things to organize and to brainstorm on. The responsibilities is to set goals and push the timeline, and to connect the various SLC committees with EERI staff, the hotel, every part of the logistics, sponsors, professional groups, and of course the SDC participants.
So the secretary is mastering the art of keeping everyone and everything on track, and they really do a good job of that. A secretary could be a new SLC member, and they're responsible for scheduling meetings, recording the meeting minutes, competition scheduling and task assignments, and just organizing and maintaining the Google Drive, which is a big deal because we have a very big Google Drive. And they're also the liaison between the co-presidents and different committees as needed.
The third elected position, I forgot to mention, the co-president, secretary, and treasurer are elected by vote. The third position is the one of the treasurer. Ensures that the travel, food, and food money are covered. And the responsibilities of the treasurer are to keep the budget up to date, approve the flights, and trips of everyone in the SLC, and to feed us.
Okay, so we just covered, as Christina said, the 3 elected positions, and there are 2 co-presidents. So there are 4 elected officers in the board, and then those 4 elected officers, when we pick them at the retreat or elect them, then they appoint the following positions that we're going to say. So these are all appointed positions, everything that we say from here on out. And the first one of those is the SDC Chairs. They're the real masterminds behind the competition. They come up with a design challenge each year, and they organize and run the seismic design competition at the annual meeting. They review and issue the rules of the competition, and they determine and keep required deadlines of the SDC for competing students. So they're the ones who are interacting with the students on a technical level in terms of questions about the structural system, in terms of questions about the competition itself. The SDC chairs are very involved with the students in terms of the rules of the competition, and they make sure all appropriate equipment and supplies are present at the conference venue during the competition.
One more thing to mention about the SDC chairs is that one of them will be appointed as lead SDC chair. And again, this is a position that is reserved for returning members. You may have noticed this one in the survey. The SDC chairs are helped by a shake table operator or 2. They are in charge of making sure that the shaking table works during the shaking day, and this is a very serious responsibility. They will work closely with the SDC chairs to set up the shake table and the ground motions. During the competition, we'll operate the shake table and will be available to help out the SDC chairs as needed.
And then we have the PERW chairs. They're generally like 2 to 3, maybe sometimes even 4 PERW chairs. And they organize the PERW, the post-earthquake reconnaissance workshop. They coordinate with EERI staff about the workshop schedule, find speakers, create mock reconnaissance scenarios. So this is a really good position for anyone who wants to work on networking, who wants to interact with active professionals who are working in earthquake engineering related fields, because you will be contacting them to find speakers and bring them into your workshop. They also establish the event agenda, open and moderate the sessions.
Another great position for networking is the outreach, which also brings the fun to the competition. They're responsible of inviting judges to assist the presentations, to assess points to the posters and architecture of the structures, but they also run the t-shirt competition. They make sure the t-shirts are printed in time. They do the Facebook spotlight and basically run everything Facebook related, and maybe even other social media platforms.
So next we have our webmaster who maintains our website, and this includes the question and answer aspect of the seismic design competition, where students are allowed to ask the SDC chairs questions about the rules throughout the year. And so he maintains that. He will or she will announce deadlines and post updates for the SDC competition. And they're also in charge of media and Facebook live stream at the seismic design competition. So if you're a techie and you're good at all this stuff, we want you. It's a hard job.
We also have a very important position as SESI Chair or liaison, who is the spreader of good news. We've named it that because the SESI liaison is in charge of making sure schools have access to the SESI curricula and that schools benefit from this project. They connect the SLC with general members and student chapters, facilitate and promote cooperation with EERI student chapters in institutions across the world, and connect SLC and student chapters with EERI School Earthquake Safety Initiative, SESI, and also acts as a liaison between SLC and SESI or even YMC.
And also for anyone who doesn't know about SESI, the School Earthquake Safety Initiative, it's a bit of a tongue twister, but it's also just a program that teaches elementary, middle, and high school kids about earthquakes and earthquake engineering, and it has some like interactive workshops for them, and depending on like the age of the students, it can get more involved. So it's a really cool program, and it's a new position in the SLC. And with that concludes our presentation, and we're going to open it up for any questions. We've already had a few submitted online and via email, but I think we might let any of you guys ask questions first if you have any.
Hi, this is Melissa here.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I do have a question about how much interest do you currently have for co-presidents?
Oh,
On the Google form and PERW, I guess.
I think we have multiple people that said they would be interested in that position, but not all of them would qualify because they're not returning members. So yeah, if I think you could.
I think we have some interest.
Yes.
Yeah. For, what was it, PERW chair, we had 5 people. Was that the one you asked for?
No,
Yeah,
no.
that one too. I asked for both co-president and PERW.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Melissa, if you want to say a few more words about the SESI liaison and what your tasks were there, because since you were more involved in the whole process, if we've missed anything important.
Sure. I think it's very manageable if it's your first position in SLC in terms of time commitment. And it was a really good way to organize with EERI and YMC to make sure that we were able to provide this opportunity for the student groups that were attending the competition, that not only were they there for the competition, but maybe they could take some knowledge back to their universities, and if they're really into doing outreach for younger kids, this is a great opportunity. Everything has already been developed by EERI in terms of the curriculum that they would be teaching the students. So in terms of like you're not reinventing the wheel, you're just giving the students access to these great tools that EERI has already developed.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Ahmed, and I have a general question about the process itself. So you said that you guys are going to have 2 co-presidents first, and then you're going to select, going to select the treasurer and secretary and SDC chairs based on votes, right?
Yeah, so I can explain it again. So what happens is Christina and I will review the applications after June 11th when they're due, and then we'll respond and invite everyone who is going to be attending the retreat. I think we'll be able to invite the people we've selected by June 24th. And then of the members who are invited to attend the retreat and who are able to come, we will have an elections meeting. And during that elections meeting, people will like run for co-president, and we might have, let's say we might have 3 people running for co-president and there are only 2 presidents. So people will run, and then everyone there will vote, and then the 2 winners will become the co-presidents, and then we'll have another election for the treasurer, another election for the secretary. And then once those 4 people are elected, then they will have a meeting. And everyone else who is at the retreat will fill out their priorities of like, I would first most really want to be on SDC. Second, I would like to be on PERW. And if neither of those, then webmaster. And then the new 4 co-presidents, treasurer, and secretary would try to make a good team out of everyone's priorities based on the people who are at the retreat. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, that's great. I totally understand it now. But based on what I'm going to vote, like, let's say we want the retreat, and it's the time that we're going to vote for the co-presidents. We have like a group discussion first to get to know each other. So based on that, I'm going to vote for someone.
So yeah, so when everyone goes to the retreat, we'll probably have some sort of like bonding icebreaker activity the evening everyone gets there. And then in the morning, we'll have, depending on how many new and returning members, like some sort of meet and greet, and then maybe some sort of workshop. The elections aren't like the first thing that happen at the retreat.
That's great.
Yeah, so you will definitely get to know people before you vote on them, at least a little bit.
Perfect. Okay. Concerning this is another general question about the SDC. Do we have like a limited budget for the competition that we will be constrained with when we are preparing for the competition itself, or we can go for adding more sponsors, adding more companies to work with us this year?
So EERI has done a lot of great work in helping us obtain sponsors for the competition. And so we do have a budget for the competition, and we have 8 financial sponsors. And that has pretty much enabled us to run the competition within our needs. So we do have a budget, but we also do have enough financial sponsors to support that budget.
And will SLC be responsible for communicating with the sponsor or sending them reports, or it will be with ERI itself?
No, there is a treasurer position, a financial advisor in the EERI staff, professional staff, that works with that money.
Okay, great. That's great.
The SLC treasurer manages how we spend that and what we decide to spend it on and keeps track of it. But in terms of like pulling in the money, that happens more on the EERI side than it does on ours.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you for your questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for answering them.
Hi, this is Mohammed. I have a question. You said in the last seismic design competition, there were 38 teams participating. How do you choose those teams? And what if there are new teams who want to enter the competition? How does that work?
So we choose as many teams as possible. Sometimes we are unfortunately limited by the size of the hotel, or just like the amount of tables we can fit in a room or chairs we can fit in a room. So there are times when we've had to select, like not invite one team, but I think in the past 2 years we've invited every team that has submitted a proposal. We definitely do, if we do have to select teams and invite or not invite teams, we do prioritize like accepting a certain number of new teams and a certain number of returning teams. So like a new team would definitely have the chance to compete, especially if they showed a strong interest.
Okay.
And some teams will submit a proposal but then not be able to attend competition for some reason or other. Oh, sorry, Maggie, what were you going to throw in there?
Yeah, I was just going to add that we know the competition is really popular and it's growing, and there are always new student chapters that want to join. So together with the SLC, we're just trying to, every year when we pick our venue for the annual meeting, we're trying to make sure that there's enough space for the competition, that there's room for it to grow, so that hopefully we don't have to make those decisions, and we can get as many teams participating as possible.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, and one of the subjects that's being discussed at the SLC retreat is how to maintain sustainability within the competition and how to make it grow while still keeping up budget and being able to accommodate the teams, make sure they have a fair chance of competing and of learning and stuff like this. We have a question from Claudia saying, if one is not able to attend the SLC retreat, are you not eligible for one of the appointed chairs? Hi, Claudia. The way this worked in past years was that if you have, so first of all, the new SLC members are picked based on their motivation and past experience. If you have interest in some of the positions and you're not able to attend the retreat, you have the option of joining us via teleconference, and you're going to be able to vote for the elected positions via an online survey. So we kind of try to make sure everyone has a chance to be a part of the SLC, even if they're not able to travel to the retreat. But a very important part would be for new members to attend the competition itself. So even if new members are not able to attend the retreat, we encourage them to try to work out a way to attend the competition, because that's where we need most hands on deck.
Did that answer your question, Claudia?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay. So I'll throw in one of the questions that was emailed to us. They asked for the trips to San Francisco and San Diego, what expenses would the students be expected to cover? So if you are a board member of the SLC, which would be any of the positions we just talked about in this presentation, the SLC budget will cover your flight or your transportation to and from the competition, your hotel during the competition, and your food during the competition. So if you want to like go on a shopping spree during the competition, we won't cover that, but we will cover travel, hotel, and food. And the food part includes coffee, because you will need to be caffeinated during the competition, and we want you to be caffeinated during the competition, or tea, whatever you want. But yeah, so that is what we cover from the SLC budget. There was another question that said, can undergrads join the SLC? And Christina, jump in if I'm answering this incorrectly, but I think the answer is no. If you're like currently an undergrad and you're about to graduate and become a grad student, and during the academic year of 2019 to 2020, you'll be a grad student, that's totally fine. But if you're still going to be an undergrad, we typically don't have undergrads in the student council, because we are organizing an undergraduate competition and it's grad students who are organizing that. I don't know if there's ever been an exception to that. Maggie, maybe you know.
I think that there, oh, go ahead, Christina.
Sorry. I know there's been a case where undergrad students applied, but because of the conflict with the competition, they were not elected. I know there is an exception to this rule for schools that have no grad positions available, but usually undergrad students are only accepted as general members, so not as officers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's the only exception, that if there's a student chapter, they have I think student chapters can have a seat as a general member of the SLC, but yeah, just as a general member, and only if there are no graduates available. I think there may also be an exception for the shake table operator, because that's such a critical position, and I think that if there's only a person available in there, and I think that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then the last question that was emailed to us was around, when do you plan to release decisions on who will be on the Leadership Council? And our answer is, we can give you a response by June 24th, which would give you a month notice in case you needed to talk to your advisor or your summer internship boss, that you would need to take a couple days off. Are there any other questions that you guys have?
I have one last question. Do we have like a alumni board that will be with the SLC during the planning for the competition, just to share the experience with them and to be around in case the SLC have any question?
I'm sorry, the beginning of the question.
Do we have a what? I couldn't hear that word. Yeah.
Alumni board, like former SLC members, like you and Christina.
At the
Would you guys be around during the SLC 20, like sharing your
So,
experience?
yeah, generally there's a good bit of continuity between SLCs from academic year to academic year. And the two co-presidents for next year will have been on the SLC with me and Christina this past year. So there will be, yeah. There will definitely be experienced people who you can ask for help or advice. Christina and I are both graduating this year, so we will not be on the SLC this coming year, but there are definitely returning members, and even though, like, there also might be people who are on the SLC 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago who attend the retreat annually, and they're always great to talk to. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
yeah, that's perfectly answered my question. Yeah.
And
Great.
also, even if we're graduating, we're always open to help out the new co-presidents or
yeah,
whenever
of course.
the committees have any questions. We're
That's
there.
great. That's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Hi, I have one more question. I'm sorry for being late. Do you hear
That's
me?
all right. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, concerning the form, the Excel form, you asked a question about when you are going to graduate. Do you mean the undergrad graduation date or like a master's or PhD graduation date? Because I thought it was like for an undergrad.
Yeah, so we
okay.
meant master's or PhD graduation date. Like, when do you plan to end grad school is the question. If you're going to do a master's and a PhD, put when you plan to finish the PhD, not the master's. And I believe we made the form editable, so if you want to go back and change your answers, you can. I think, Christina.
Okay, it's like
if not,
the form will be overridden, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah, you can edit after you submit. So you should have gotten an email saying that you submitted the Google form. And then if you go back to that email, you should be able to edit your submission, and then you can update the graduation date.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sure. Just one more clarification on the expenses, because I received a new question from Mohammed on the platform chat. So your members are expected to pay for their travels in advance, but they will be reimbursed for their travels to the retreats and accommodation and food during the retreat.
Yeah, that was a good clarification. All right, well, it seems like we've got all the questions. Last call.
Yeah, I have another question. I submit my application, and you said you should get an email from Google that you submit a Google form. I don't think I got an email like that, so I don't know if you got my application or not.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah, we did receive your application. We may have unselected the option to send an email. So
if you have it, that's great.
Yeah, we do. Thank you for sending. Soham, do you want to ask your question, or is your microphone working? Or if not, you can text it. Soham's question was, are the expenses for general members also covered? Usually general members are not invited to the retreat.
Yeah, so normally the appointed board of directors is the group that is sent to the retreat and is able to be reimbursed. General members will invite via web conference, and they'll be able to tune in to most of the meetings that we have, including the elections, online. So a general member would not likely attend the retreat, just mostly based on our budget for the retreat. And if they attend the conference and work as SLC for the conference, I believe we would reimburse them, but I think that depends on how many SLC members we have.
Yes. Okay. Sure, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. If you have any more questions or if anything comes up, feel free to reach out to us via email at slc@eeri.org, and we'll try to get back to you as fast as we can. And we look forward to reading all of your applications.
Yes, just a final reminder that the deadline is June 11th. Yes. Thank you for joining us today.